Well, it's spring. Took a little while for the picture to come up, but it finally did. It's spring, and spring weather is really, or spring weather pattern, is really taking over nationwide. It's more like wintertime in the west. We have the curse of the backdoor cold front in the east, and we're not a curse. We're nice people here on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, which you can support by doing your Amazon shopping using our referral link at the top of the chat board or on the description of this podcast. It's an easy way to support the show, and it also keeps commercials down to an absolute bare minimum with none during the actual podcast. Just click on the link, do your shopping. Amazon throws us some coin. It doesn't cost you a cent. And we appreciate those of you who have or might consider supporting the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. So here we are. I have a pulse. I'm okay. This is what happens, folks, when. See, I like cherries, Joe. It's one of my favorite fruits. Cherries, cold nectarines, peaches. Not big on apples. I don't care for apples, don't care for pears. I like apples in an apple pie, but like to eat a whole apple is just not my thing. Anyway, there were cherries at the local store, and they looked a little overripe to me. And I thought, should I or shouldn't I? Normally, I would not get them. I like them when they're, nice and sort of on the hardish side. I said, you know what? I really like cherries a lot. Well, that was my big mistake because it just absolutely sent my entire body into a full stage revolt. And it took me 2 days to get over it. I was a little better yesterday, but I was not functionable. I still was sort of, how shall we say, attached to the throne. But we're finally past that. I know a number of you were very concerned, and I appreciate the kind words. And I'm not 100%, but I'm about 90. Tomorrow, after one more good night's sleep. That's what I did. One good thing about this, Joe. I slept I took a 4 hour nap, which I never do. I took a 4 hour nap. I went to bed last night at a little after 6 o'clock and woke up a little bit before 7 this morning.
Wow.
Uninterrupted. Yeah.
Wow.
But you know what? I needed it because it really did the trick. I'm back to normal. Almost back to normal. Anyhow, uh we have this total eclipse of the moon thing tomorrow night. And we have the backdoor cold front and the curse of the onshore flow. So I'm curious as to what you're thinking here for who's going to see what, best chances for where. That's your department.
All right. Well, I just finished a an article for space.com, and I made a chart or a map up, and you see the map on your screen right now. There is that big storm that is out in the western United States, which really is going to screw everything up for people in Montana and Idaho, down through Utah, Arizona, New Mexico. But we here in the East, now basically speaking, from Texas to Missouri, Ohio Valley, into a good hunk of Pennsylvania and New York State, should have good viewing conditions. But notice, if you will, there is a scallop of a zone that I'm calling poor visibility, and that happens to deal with the front that Joe just mentioned. It came through last night. It's now off to our south. There's a storm that's now over Ohio, which is going to reform by morning off the coast of southern New Jersey. And then the storm is slowly going to pull away out to sea. You say, oh, well, that's good. That's great. Except that the winds around that system are going to interact with high pressure to the north of us up in eastern Canada and cause a northeasterly flow, bringing winds off of the Atlantic Ocean. And so everybody along the coastal plain, from the Virginia Capes, north through the Delmarva, through most of New Jersey, New York, Long Island, and much of southern New England, unfortunately, are going to have to deal with a lot of cloud cover from those northeasterly winds, bringing in that moisture. However, if you really want to see this eclipse, all you have to do really is to just get in your car and travel not too far. I think actually, Joe, people who are north of the Interstate 84 corridor and points north of there up toward Kingston, Poughkeepsie, my daughter lives in New Paltz. I think places up in this area will have a pretty darn good view of it. Now, not to say that we won't have a good view of it, let's say along the coastal plain. Will we have a solid overcast? Possibly, but there could also be some holes or breaks in the clouds that develop from time to time and place to place. And if that be the case, then perhaps you'll have a view of the eclipse through holes in the clouds, breaks in the clouds. It may very well be like, if you know the poem The Highwaymen by Alfred Noyes, that poem begins with, "The moon was a ghostly galleon tossed upon cloudy seas." So maybe, just maybe, for this region here along the coast, you may get some breaks in the clouds and see the moon appearing like a ghostly galleon tossed upon cloudy seas during the overnight hours tomorrow night. And I'll have more to say about the eclipse tomorrow night, including some nice visuals. But for the moment, that's how it looks as far as visibility is concerned. I'm sorry to say, for poor in the poor zone, I would say 70 to 100% cloud cover. But for the places in the good zone, and again, all you have to do is just go maybe an hour or two north and west of New York City. In the good zones, I see scattered to clear skies, only about 0 to 30% cloud cover. Be a very sharp line, and I think again that it'll be dependent upon just how much of a wind we get tomorrow night from the northeast and where that storm is exactly located. But right now, if you're near the coast, it does not look all that great for a view tomorrow night of the eclipse. But hopefully, it'll change between now and tomorrow night.
It looks good for me here in North Georgia.
Oh yeah, I think you have a great chance if you decide to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Well, yeah, I decided not to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning. But thanks just the
Do you
same.
know how much? Do you know how what strings I had to pull just to get the moon to align with the shadow of the Earth tomorrow night? Now you're
Well,
not even.
clearly, I understand that you went to endless expense and effort to pull this off. You know, it's fake anyway, right, Joe?
Well,
It's all fake. Yeah, exactly. Welcome to tonight's Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. We are here normally Sunday through Thursday at 7:35 p.m. Except for the fact that the last two nights I was crippled with the stomach flu, but stuff happens. Different S word. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and turn your notifications on so you don't miss us. And for those of you who are lurking in the background, we welcome you too. And of course, if you like the show, by all means, hit the like button because we like to be liked. So, yeah, it's amazing. We went from January and February, which were, mostly cold months all the way through. And somebody flipped a switch after the first handful of days of March. And you look at what's going on around the country. I mean, we're in full spring mode almost with the uh, severe weather outbreak that we had last week. It looks like we're going to have another one uh, late this week and this weekend. And, we've got SPC going crazy with the risk areas in the long range, and they've got the eastern seaboard, including areas up to about New York City and nearby, in potential for at least a slight risk for Sunday.
and again, it's not often once you go beyond 4 days, at least as of recently, that you see the Storm Prediction Center making such forecasts. But I think it's a fairly good bet that we're going to be dealing with at least some convection here on Sunday. Whether or not it turns severe, well, we'll see as we get closer to the actual event.
All right. So let's see what's going on tonight because there's a lot of stuff going on, Joe, in the West. If you're a winter weather lover, I was looking at some of the forecasts, and it's all in feet. In the Sierra Nevadas, we've got lots of winter storm warnings up and down California, the Sierra Nevadas, the southern mountain peaks north of LA and northeast of San Diego in winter storm warnings. There's winter weather advisories surrounding those. up through the Cascades in the Northwest. We've got advisories throughout much of Utah, warnings up and down the middle of Utah. I'm sorry, Nevada, the winter weather advisories up and down the middle of Utah. We've got winter storm warnings up also for a number of counties in Arizona, in western New Mexico, western Colorado, extreme western Wyoming, and eastern Idaho. High wind warnings, high wind watches, wind advisories from California east over into Texas and Oklahoma. All this ahead of what's going to be a fairly wrapped up storm system and a pretty powerful cold front that's going to set off some severe weather in the coming days. The east is quiet from Maine to Florida. No watches or warnings or advisories anywhere east of the Mississippi and up across the northern plains. And as we check out the satellite side, there's a little bit of moisture running up through upstate New York and into Vermont and New Hampshire. I'm wondering whether some of that might be snow.
I would bet there could be. I mean, I mentioned tonight for what little precipitation that we're going to be seeing here in the immediate tri-state area, chance of rain, maybe in some areas, most likely will be the higher terrain areas, maybe some wet snow. I mean, no accumulation. Don't get excited. It's not even worth a cheap thrill, but I would guess that there will be some snow tonight further north.
Yeah, I'm just looking at some of the temperatures in upstate New York are cold. Albany is 37. Fort Drum is 29. Messina is 23. Plattsburgh is 26. Ogdensburg is 23. Potsdam is at 25. In Vermont, it's in mostly in the 12. Springfield is 37. Bennington 35. Rutland is 30. You go further north, Burlington's 28. Montpelier's 29. No one's reporting any snow. They're either partly cloudy or mostly cloudy, at least at the moment. But we do have some precip there on the radar. There's also a little disturbance that's coming out of Texas and Oklahoma that's got, this is a little shortwave that was sent out well ahead of the main energy that is now coming into California. And if you look, there's a pretty good, healthy looking swirl just to the west of San Francisco that's coming inland, and that's what's pumping in all the moisture there. And the radar is loaded. There's heavy rains and some flash flood. Is that flash flood warnings up? Yeah, there's some, looks like there's some flash. I can't tell. The boxes are overlaid, or what looks like boxes. Well, look, there's heavy rain around the San Francisco Bay Area and points inland, and now, spreading into the Sierra Nevadas where it's going to be heavy snow, and also some lighter precipitation, mountain snows and valley rains up in the Pacific Northwest. That short wave I spoke of just now is producing a line of severe thunderstorms, or potentially severe thunderstorms in East Texas and cutting across between the interstate. I forgot the interstate that goes between Dallas Fort Worth, goes from Dallas Fort Worth to Houston, down to about Austin. And that area is pushing to the east. And here's that moisture I mentioned in upstate New York. A couple of narrow bands of darker greens. There was some light snow or rain uh, running from just south of Albany into Massachusetts and southern Vermont, and moving eastward from there. I guess that's what the model picked up late last week, was trying to show that over northern New Jersey and Long Island. But apparently it all set up further to the north.
Yeah, and with that, again, that's the reason why we're talking about places north of the tri-state area. Because we just, in New York and even the Hudson Valley, we're just going to get a little bit of a brushing of precipitation. Places like Sullivan County, Ulster, Dutchess have already seen a little bit of precip. We haven't seen anything yet here in Putnam County, but we may, after midnight tonight and toward daybreak, get into a little bit of precipitation. But again, the lion's share of the precip with this system appears to be mostly north of the New York City area.
Correct. Okay, the Storm Prediction Center. 'Cause these guys are going to be busy the next couple of days. So we've got there actually is a severe thunderstorm watch this evening across East Texas into Northwest Louisiana. That's inside a slight risk of severe weather that SPC has indicated. That short wave is going to fall, mostly weaken as it moves eastward. And you'll notice on the West Coast, we have general thunderstorms being indicated up and down the state of California, as well as in parts of southeastern Washington, northeastern Oregon, and western Idaho. Now, tomorrow, that shortwave moves into Alabama and Mississippi and west southwest Georgia, where we have a small area of marginal risk of severe weather. The energy in the west still has to come east, but it will do so on day three. And this is for Friday into Saturday, mainly Friday night into Saturday morning. We have a large area of slight risk and also a large area of enhanced risk. Central and northern Mississippi, uh, west central and northwest Alabama, western half of Tennessee, western Kentucky, southwest Indiana, much of Illinois, eastern half of Missouri, eastern half of Arkansas. And I guarantee you there's going to be a 10% tornado risk area when we look at this forecast tomorrow. And SPC on their day four, this is going to be very interesting, Joe, the day four one, because a lot of the guidance that's used you will use for severe weather is really highlighting the tornado risk in Alabama, Mississippi, and western Georgia and southeast Tennessee. This is already at a 30% enhanced risk, and I'm in this here in North Georgia in that enhanced risk. And we had severe weather here last weekend, which did damage. So kind of hoping it doesn't happen. I mean, I'm very much hoping it doesn't happen. But it looks rather interesting and potentially a problem here. 15% slight risk up to Ohio and uh, Western Pennsylvania and West Virginia. That's into Sunday morning. And on their day five, we've got the 15% slight risk running from the Florida Panhandle northward through the Georgia and the Carolinas, Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, Eastern Pennsylvania, almost all of New Jersey, just touching New York City. So I think you could probably say that if they left this the same, the marginal risk, which we'll see on tomorrow's map, will probably push up into southern New England and parts of southern New York as well.
I would think so too. As I've said more often than not, with the passage of time, as more information comes into SPC, and as they get a better handle on what happens or is happening, they usually expand or extend their zone of severe weather outlook. And yeah, this looks very interesting that we're already in the day five category. At least one edge of the northern edge of that is already into a part of the tri-state New York City area. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when we get to later in the week, and especially so. Looks like Sunday is going to be a most interesting day here.
Okay, rainfall. Uh, Everybody east of the Mississippi is basically at 3/4 of an inch to an inch and a quarter. There's a stripe of an inch and a half. Southeastern New England to Long Island and coastal New Jersey to the southern part of the Delmarva. That could be off the European because the European wants to, and the Canadian both want to hang the front up a little bit, which I think is a realistic possibility given that we have, ridges on either side of this that are going to try to slow this down. And you also have an area of inch and a half to 3 inch rainfall amounts indicated across northern Alabama, northern Mississippi, North Georgia, back through Tennessee into Kentucky. So it's a sizable rainfall potential here. And here we have in the west many inches of liquid in the Sierra Nevadas. Most of that's going to be in the form of heavy snow. Along the coast, we're looking at stripes of an inch and a half from San Diego up the coast, and then from San Francisco north, it picks up to several to many inches all the way back up into the Pacific Northwest. And if you want to be a snowmonger, well, this is the probability, the 72-hour probability for at least eight, and it's all in the west. A lot of areas in the Rockies with at least a 50% chance for at least eight. In the Sierra Nevadas, you have a 90 to 100% chance of at least eight, as well as in the Cascades. So the winter weather is finally come to California after spending much of the first half of winter being nowhere. And now that we're getting into the early springtime, we're seeing the activity shift over into the western part of the United States. So the backdoor cold front actually gets down, kind of settles across Delmarva and Virginia. The high sort of goes out. It's questionable to me how much low cloudiness is going to be able to get in there, but we'll see. And then there's some kind of little low that forms on that front Thursday night that goes well out to the east. Then, of course, now you get all this western energy, and you see it just piling on into the Rockies. And then the low reforms on the east side of the Rockies. When it reforms, Joe, it starts out as a 980 low. I mean, talk about a low pressure map. If you look at this map for Friday, I don't, yeah, except for the Northeast where the pressures are in the 1016 to 1020 range, everybody else is just, the barometers are off the wall. And, you're going to get a wrapped up 970-ish low that runs up into Minnesota. And of course, you see the trigger for severe weather as that front with this comes sweeping through Friday night across Arkansas, Missouri, and Illinois. And then Saturday, if the southern end of that fires up in a big way, and you get lots of convection here, I think the Europeans got a good idea, a good view of how this is going to play out. And then as we get to Sunday in the east, gradient tightens, southerly winds pick up, and then here comes the cold front, which, it doesn't look like there's going to be much in the way of rain until very late Sunday afternoon into Sunday evening. And then if the front gets hung up, might get a chance for a decent amount of rainfall going into Monday.
The last thing I think you would need in a situation like that is a training event where you have some of these really heavy duty thunderstorms just roll over one after another. And if you're right, if this front gets hung up, there could be places that could get a lot more than just 2 or 3 inches. There could be some, 5, 6, 7 inch rainfall totals. I hope that is not the case, but that certainly is the potential in this type of a scenario.
See, now the GFS, the difference is that the GFS has that northern system that goes into Canada a little more robust, so it manages to carry the front through where it's mostly done by early Monday morning. I have my doubts about that. There's a strong ridge off the East Coast. There's strong ridging behind it. This might be an instance where, well, it's more than just a single instance where the GFS is wrong. But I think the GFS is probably in too much of a hurry to get that front out of the way. It may be a plus because of the drought conditions that we have across parts of the Northeast and northern mid-Atlantic states, and we don't want too much rain. There's more energy coming into the West. I'll go back to the European in a moment, but there's more energy coming in the West. There's no cold air to speak of behind this. I mean, it's just a little bit cooler, technically speaking. So it's going to warm up into the 60s again over the weekend. It'll cool down a little bit, but it's not, any kind of coldish cold air. The GFS wants to take a low out of Kansas and run it up into western New York with maybe some snow in the Great Lakes come next Wednesday and Thursday, and then that goes out, and then it's got something out in the ocean, and then it's got another front going by, and then it's got another big low going to the west. I mean, this is very much a springtime look uh, to the overall pattern. And if we back it off to the European, Joe, it's not going to be that much different. It's just, positioning to some extent, but uh, the main idea here is that low on the European is further north and west and goes along, and the front just gets hung up. And I think that probably, to me, makes a little bit more sense than to just fly the front straight to the east.
And then, of course, don't forget Monday is St. Patrick's Day, and they have the big parade here in New York, and they certainly would like to have uh, good weather, although it looks like it's going to be at least the lingering effects of that line of showery rains, at least into the early part of the day on Monday. And maybe with the luck of the Irish, things will clear out and we'll get some sunshine for Monday afternoon.
I just want to take a look at with the severe weather of events. I'm just going to I like to look at the jet streaks here and on the 700 millibar map. So here's this first short wave that's running across the south. that eventually is going to form. I'm sorry, here's the first short wave that just disappears. And you see that little lobe there that moves into Tennessee, and then the main energy, you get a wrapped up cutoff low in Kansas and Nebraska, and you've got all you see the jet streaks that move across the Mississippi River Valley, and then the southern part of that fires up for Saturday in the Gulf states, and then on Sunday you got it near the East Coast. There's some, you know, there's some good solid winds here in the upper atmosphere of 50 to 60 knots or higher. If I run up to the 500 millibar, I'll probably see it a bit better. But you see that energy there. The southern part of that separates a bit. And again, given the way this is setting up, I think that makes a lot of sense. It's a pretty vigorous system that's moving out of the plains and moving eastward.
Well, we'll see.
There's probably going to be elevated tornado activity, I'm sure, an EF2 tornado risk.
It's, it's terrible to realize that such damage may be looming on the horizon this far in advance. And you say to yourself, if you live in the zone where there could be EF2 or EF3 tornadoes, I mean, what can you do? You can't move your house. The only thing you do, and this is the kind of thing that gets raise blood pressures for a number of people who live down there as
Yeah,
we coming weekend.
it is part of life here. I mean, it does happen. You just hope that it's in the woods someplace.
If you're 2,200 feet up, wouldn't that be a preclude any kind of
I should
funnel?
hope so. Bill Clinton, Bill Clinton, Bill Goodman reminded me today that tornadoes don't climb mountains.
Well, hopefully that's the case for you. We don't need to.
Yeah, but you know what? Straight line wind damage is straight line wind damage, and
Right.
it played very much here last weekend. So I'm thinking, there have been tornadoes here that have touched down in Blairsville in the town and in the surrounding lower part of it, in where the elevation's down and it's a little bit flatter. But yeah, I'm up at the mountainside, so hopefully, it's not something that I have to deal with. I don't want
Brady
to.
G. Brady G111 on the chat board says 2,200 isn't mountains. I disagree. It's a
No, but
pretty.
I'm surrounded by 5,000. I'm surrounded by 4 and 5,000 foot tops. So um, the mountain I'm on is at about goes up to 2,900 feet.
I mean, can you see like that they had if tornadoes had the ability to talk or had a mind? Where's Chiaffi's house? Looking for Chiaffi's.
Yeah, right. All right, let's do a little Briller Jeopardy, shall we?
Surely. Now, who has the question? Do I have them or do you?
I got 'em.
Okay.
All right, so I like the one I like these that when I get these. I like these sorts of ones. So there are 8 states, Joe, 8 states that begin and end with a vowel. 8 states that begin and end with a vowel. Now, just in case nobody remembers, or you didn't go to Catholic school, they would have been beaten into you. A-E-I-O-U is a vowel. So you have to have a vowel at the beginning or a vowel at the end. Christinapedia, you are correct. Arizona, A at the beginning, A at the end. Mark
How about
France
Iowa?
Sr., it is incorrect. Mississippi ends in a vowel but starts with a consonant. Okay? So if this were Catholic school, you'd have to write Mississippi 100 times. Um, Tyler Fenga, Alabama. Correct. Maggie P. Ohio. Christinapedia again. Alaska. Um, okay. Maine is a consonant at the front of it. Idaho, Anthony. Yes. And Alabama and Idaho. Okay. Iowa. That is correct. Iowa. Anthony again, Indiana. Indiana is correct. And Oklahoma from Luarizio. I think we got them all. Alaska, Alabama, Ohio, Indiana, Arizona, Oklahoma, Iowa, and Idaho. Those are the 8 states, Joe, that start with end in a vowel.
There you go.
Okay. Now, there are 5 states. There are 5 states that end with the letter S. 5 states that end with the letter S. Are you ready?
Okay.
Illinois, Arkansas, Earthshield is correct. Proceedopedia is correct.
Massachusetts.
Steve B with Arkansas, correct. Massachusetts, Vincent Croce, correct. Kansas, Rich Rothmansky and Maggie P. and Lou Arizio, correct. Texas, Mark France Sr. Okay, you made up for the vowel thing. Kansas, Texas, Massachusetts, we get them all? Yes, all 5 have been named. Arkansas, Texas, Illinois, Kansas, and Massachusetts. Arkansas, Texas, Illinois, Kansas, and Massachusetts. Those are the 5 states that end with the letter S. And that's it for tonight, Joe.
Okay. Sounds
All right.
good.
So anyway, I guess we're done. Uh, Joe and I are also working on something. We're part of someone else's project. I'm just going to leave that hint out there. And as soon as it's ready to go, we'll let you know. In the meantime, we will be back we'll be back here tomorrow night at 7:35 p.m. Eastern Time, which is our regular time. Isn't that right, Mr. Rayo?
We will be here, and I'll have more to say about the eclipse tomorrow night. Oh, and
Okay,
by the way, sometime if you're up between 6:30 and 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, and
I
you have
will be.
and if you have access to Fox Weather,
I do.
you will probably see a familiar face on your screen talking about the lunar eclipse.
Oh, Lonnie Quinn? Just checking.
Test again. Try again.
Um, hmm.
And the only reason why I'm up at that hour of the morning is that tomorrow is my Julian day, when my grandson
Are
is
you gonna
dropped.
be are you gonna be live?
Yes,
Oh, that's enchanting. Okay, so everybody
6:30.
mark it down. Joe's gonna be on Fox Weather tomorrow live at between 6:30 and 7. How long is the segment going to be?
Probably about 5 minutes.
Sponsored by?
I wish it was.
Um, you will find a way to do a shameless plug for the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast.
Well, I'll try and see if I could squeeze it in.
By all means, be subtle about it, like a garlic sandwich. All right, we'll see everybody tomorrow night. Nighty night.
Night night.